Most of us walk around believing that we have deep-rooted personality flaws, that we have an anxiety problem, that we have a confidence problem or a motivation problem. But if you strip away the labels, what you actually have is a repetition problem. We tend to think that changing our lives requires a massive lightning bolt of insight or climbing up a mountain and having an epiphany or just sheer willpower. But the brain doesn't change through intention or epiphanies alone. It changes through what is repeatedly thought, felt, and acted upon. This is because our brain isn't actually designed to make you happy, and it's not designed to make you successful either. It is designed for efficiency. Its main job is to save energy by turning everything that you do often into an automatic pattern. Put differently, it wants to put you on autopilot so you don't have to think consciously about every single reaction. That process might feel like a flaw in the system, but when you actually think about it, it is incredibly, incredibly smart. And when used strategically, which is what I've been doing for the last 5 years, you can actually use it to your advantage. So here's how you can use it simply. Inside your brain, whenever you think a thought or feel an emotion, specific neurons connect. So the first time you have, say, a fearful thought about something, that connection is super weak, like a spider's web that's easy to break. But when you think about it again and again, that connection gets a little stronger. If you think it every day for 5 years, that connection becomes as fast as a car on the motorway. Eventually, the response happens so fast that it feels like a reflex rather than a choice. This is why, logically, you know that a thought is irrational, but you still feel unable to stop it, or why you react so strongly, or get so angry so quickly, or get so anxious so quickly, and you feel like you don't understand why. It's because your brain knows what to do, but your habits are so ingrained that they act before you even have time to think. Let's put it differently. Imagine you are standing in the middle of a dense forest. To your left, there is a path that has been walked thousands of times by many, many people. It is wide, it's clear, it's paved, and it's super easy to walk down. On your right, there is a route that used to be used but is now overgrown with bushes and brambles and weeds because no one's walked there in years. If you were tired and not paying attention, which path do you think you'd take? Would you take the clear path or the path full of brambles and weeds? The clear path. Not because it leads to a better destination, and not because you have a specific desire to go down that way, but simply because it offers the least resistance. You're less likely to get hurt, you're less likely to stumble and fall, you're less likely to be late, and your brain chooses thoughts in the exact same way. It automatically directs you down the mental pathways that have been walked most often in the past. For some of you, the paved path is anxiety. For others, it's self-doubt, or it's people-pleasing, or assuming the worst. The reason these reactions feel automatic is not because they are true or because they are a personality trait. It's just because they are the most familiar. You didn't consciously choose those patterns, and you certainly aren't flawed for having them. You simply have walked down the path of stimulus and the reaction of anxiety so frequently that your brain has learnt to prioritize that. It's learnt that when this happens, we feel this way. And until you start challenging that and trying to put yourself down the weed path, that's how it's always going to be. You've walked down this route so many times that even though it's unresourceful and doesn't make you happy, your brain has learnt to prioritize it. And the danger is that over time, we mistake the familiarity for identity. We start believing this is just who I am. But in reality, it's nothing more than who you have practiced being. But here's the most exciting part that nobody really talks about. And it is genuinely the key to changing everything. And again, it's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And my entire life has changed as a result. Because what I've just described is true for negative thoughts and uncomfortable feelings like anxiety or fear, it's also true for the good stuff, for the feel-good stuff, for feelings like self-empowerment and confidence and self-belief and even self-love. Your brain is entirely neutral. It doesn't judge whether a habit is good or bad. It only judges it whether it is repeated. If you have successfully repeated yourself into self-doubt, that proves that you have the biological capacity, you have the ability up here with which to repeat yourself into self-love too. If you have practiced anxiety so much that it's become a natural reflex, then it means that you can also practice calm until that becomes your new autopilot instead. The mechanism that has up till now been trapping you is the exact same mechanism that will free you. You're not fighting a broken system. You are simply learning how to use the system in a more beneficial and up-to-date way that unfortunately we're not taught about in school. The brain does not distinguish between learning a physical skill and a mental habit. And so this is why driving, typing, or learning to play tennis feels awkward at first. But eventually, driving to work becomes effortless. When you start choosing a different response, when you start hacking through the bushes to create a new path, it will feel slow at first, it will feel hard, it will feel uncomfortable, it will feel weird and fake, and most people will give up right there because they interpret that discomfort as something is wrong. And I know I definitely did in the beginning. But in reality, discomfort is just the sensation of the old pathway dying and the new pathway being built. So, how do you actually do it? Every time you pause instead of reacting, you are strengthening a new connection. Every time you catch a negative thought and choose a kinder one instead, you are trampling down the weeds on the new path. These moments don't need to be, and probably won't be, anything big or crazy or dramatic. It's actually more often the small behaviours that we catch and change that have the biggest impact. Because change happens not through intensity, but through consistency. So the question is no longer, what is wrong with me? The question is simply, what am I currently training my brain to expect? Whatever you practice most often is what your brain will eventually make automatic. And once you understand that your brain is trainable, change stops feeling like a mystery. And whatever you're experiencing, whatever your dominant negative emotion is, or dominant uncomfortable emotion is, you literally have a toolkit and a process and a system and an understanding, most importantly, of how to change that, of how to shift it if you want to. One repetition at a time. If you want to do this process with me personally, then I've just launched a 6-week live online small group coaching program. You can find the link down below. And we also have a few spots left, I believe, on my 2026 retreats. I have personally watched exactly what I've explained in this video have life-changing effects for hundreds of individuals. And included in those hundreds is myself. And so whether with me or not, I know that what I've just told you in this video has the capacity to change your life too. And I am so excited for you to experience this for yourself, because you just realize that you are no longer the victim to your brain. You are no longer a prisoner inside your brain. Your brain, in fact, is an incredible lab where you get to create whatever concoction of thinking and feeling that you want, which has no choice but to dramatically impact your life. You stop allowing yourself to be in situations that don't serve you, that don't support those feel-good feelings, that push you into that anxiety more than you want to, because there are some things that you will find repeatedly, no matter how much you do this, force you straight back on that old path. And once you start going down the new path more and more frequently, anything that gets you back on that old path will be something that you want to distance yourself from as much as possible. And that is where the life-changing effects really occur. Anyway, that is all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed. I'm super duper thankful to have you here with me. If you like this, please give it a like, subscribe, follow, depending on what platform you're on. And all that is left to say is, I appreciate you.